In this video, you will find out why the familiar and seemingly harmless cucumber can actually become a serious concern for your health. We will go over 10 alarming facts hidden beneath its crisp skin, from digestive issues and thyroid problems to joint discomfort and disruptions in the acid-base balance. You will learn who should avoid cucumbers, which symptoms should not be ignored, and how to avoid harming yourself by following the popular trend of light eating. Watch until the end and you may completely rethink your attitude toward this vegetable. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. 1. They reduce the absorption of fats and fat-soluble vitamins. More and more people today are trying to eat healthy by adding more vegetables to their diet. Cucumbers often top the list. They are low in calories, fresh, and crunchy. However, very few people realize that in certain combinations, this vegetable can interfere with the absorption of essential fats and fat-soluble vitamins. According to data from the National Institute of Nutrition and Metabolism in the United States, up to 24% of Americans over the age of 50 experience a hidden deficiency of fat-soluble vitamins, primarily vitamin D and vitamin E. These nutrients are vital for strong bones, proper heart function, a healthy immune system, and protecting cells from oxidation. But in order for the body to absorb them from food, proper digestion and sufficient activity of fat-digesting enzymes are required. A study conducted in 2021 by the University of Illinois found that cucumbers, especially when eaten with fatty foods such as meat, fish, or oils, can suppress the activity of lipase and other enzymes that are necessary for fat digestion. The researchers concluded that with regular consumption of such combinations over a period of 1 month, vitamin D levels in the participants' blood dropped by an average of 11%. A real-life case confirms this effect. Steve Hopkins, a licensed dietitian from Chicago, observed a client in his private practice, a 62-year-old man who decided to get healthy and began eating steak with large amounts of fresh cucumbers for dinner every day. After about 6 weeks, the man started experiencing skin problems and fatigue, and lab tests revealed low levels of both vitamin E and vitamin D, despite an otherwise balanced diet. Once cucumbers were removed from his evening meals and replaced with leafy greens and broccoli, the situation began to improve within just 2 weeks. If you're eating meat, fish, or other fat-containing foods, it is best not to pair them with cucumber salads. It is better to have cucumbers as a separate snack or as part of a vegetable plate during the day. At the same time, it is important to include sources of healthy fats in your diet and to monitor fat-soluble vitamin levels at least once a year, especially after the age of 50. 2. They may interfere with iodine absorption and disrupt thyroid function. At first glance, cucumbers seem like a completely harmless food. They are watery, crunchy, and contain almost no calories. What could possibly be harmful? However, there is a hidden risk for people who are already prone to thyroid disorders, especially women over the age of 40. According to the American Institute for Endocrine Research, an average of 13% of the adult population in the United States shows either subclinical or clinical signs of iodine deficiency, particularly in areas where iodized salt is rarely used and the soil is naturally low in iodine. This primarily affects states like New Jersey, Vermont, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Surprisingly, cucumbers contain goitrogenic compounds. These are naturally occurring plant substances that, when consumed frequently and regularly, can slow down the thyroid gland's ability to absorb iodine. This is especially true for fresh cucumbers grown in greenhouses without exposure to ultraviolet light, where the concentration of goitrogens is higher. A 2022 study conducted by the Clinical Nutrition Laboratory at Oregon State University found that among a group of women aged 45 to 60 who consumed more than 200 grams of fresh cucumbers daily for 3 months, thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH, levels increased by an average of 18%, while free thyroxine, T4, levels decreased. Half of the participants reported fatigue, swelling, and a drop in body temperature. This data was reflected in the case of Marilyn Patterson, a 52-year-old schoolteacher from Trenton City, New Jersey. In an attempt to eat light, she replaced her lunch with a salad of tomatoes, cucumbers, and vinegar, doing so every day for nearly 3 months. She first noticed tiredness and sluggishness, followed by weight gain. Lab tests revealed subclinical hypothyroidism. An endocrinologist at a private clinic quickly suspected the role of goitrogenic compounds. After cucumbers were removed from her diet and her meals were adjusted, her hormone levels began to normalize within 4 weeks. If you already have thyroid issues, especially if you are taking medications containing levothyroxine, you should avoid frequently consuming large amounts of fresh cucumbers, especially in combination with other goitrogenic vegetables like broccoli, radishes, and cauliflower. It is better to eat cucumbers in moderation and alternate them with foods rich in iodine, such as seaweed, fish, and eggs. It is also advisable to have your TSH and T4 levels checked at least once a year after the age of 40, especially for women. 3. They increase the risk of bladder irritation. While most people think of cucumbers as a light and healthy vegetable for maintaining hydration, few consider that their high water content and certain compounds may actually cause problems for the urinary system, especially in individuals who already have a sensitive bladder. According to statistics from the American Urological Association, more than 21% of women between the ages of 25 and 50 experience symptoms of bladder irritation at least once a year, including frequent urination, a feeling of pressure in the lower abdomen, burning sensations, or false urges. In 5% of cases, these symptoms become chronic and often remain unexplained by medical tests. The problem often worsens when people try to get healthier by adding more vegetables to their diet, and cucumbers are usually among the first to appear on the plate. It is true that cucumbers contain up to 96% water, which may seem like a good thing. However, when stored in the refrigerator for extended periods, cucumbers begin to accumulate nitrogen-containing compounds and oxalates, irritants that can affect the bladder lining similarly to mild chemical stimulants. In 2022, the California Center for Urological Diagnostics at the University of San Diego conducted a study analyzing the dietary habits of women with interstitial cystitis and bladder hypersensitivity. It was found that in 32% of patients, symptoms worsened within 12 to 18 hours after consuming fresh cucumbers, especially in the form of salads, pickles, or juices. The reaction was most noticeable among those who ate cucumbers that had been stored in the refrigerator for more than 3 days. This finding aligns with the experience of Ashley Miller, a 34-year-old English instructor from Austin, Texas. She decided to switch to a vegetable-based diet during the summer and began preparing light salads every evening using cucumbers, spinach, and apple cider vinegar. Within just a week, she started noticing unpleasant symptoms: frequent urination, a dull pain in her lower abdomen, and waking up during the night. Her tests did not show any infection, but a urologist at University Medical Center Brackenridge linked her symptoms to the irritating effects of the vegetables. Once she completely eliminated cucumbers for 2 weeks, her symptoms disappeared entirely. If you notice frequent urination, discomfort in the lower abdomen, or signs of bladder irritation after eating cucumbers, especially ones that have been stored for a long time, eliminate them from your diet for 2 weeks and observe any changes. Do not eat cucumbers that have been in the refrigerator for more than 3 days, especially if the skin has darkened. Choose young cucumbers with thin skin, or better yet, replace them with zucchini, leafy greens, or roasted root vegetables. If you have chronic bladder sensitivity, always consult a urologist or dietitian about your diet, especially if you are also taking medications that affect urination. 4. They can worsen arthritis and joint pain in sensitive individuals. 1 in 5 American adults over the age of 40 lives with arthritis. According to statistics from the American College of Rheumatology, more than 58 million people in the United States suffer from joint pain, stiffness, and inflammation. For most of them, these symptoms get worse during periods of humidity, cold weather, or changes in diet. Food is often the last thing patients think about when their arthritis flares up, but it should not be. In 2021, doctors at the Center for Rheumatology Research at Colorado State University noticed a surprising trend. Many patients with rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis who followed vegetable-based or raw food diets experienced a sharp increase in symptoms after consuming large amounts of cucumbers. Researchers linked this effect to 2 main factors: the vegetable's high moisture content and its distinctly cooling nature. Eastern medicine, especially Ayurveda and traditional Chinese therapy, has long classified cucumber as a cold food, believed to increase internal dampness and reduce the body's inner warmth. From a modern scientific perspective, excess moisture in body tissues may impair microcirculation and trigger swelling in the joints, particularly under conditions of low physical activity, which is common among older adults. A real-life example from American medical practice confirms this. Ralph, a 66-year-old resident of Salem, Oregon, was undergoing supportive treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. He had been feeling stable until he decided to cleanse his body based on advice from acquaintances and began eating only raw vegetables, particularly 2 to 3 cucumbers per day. Within 10 days, he started to feel stiffness in his finger and knee joints. After 2 weeks, he was unable to get out of bed without assistance. His doctor, rheumatologist Dr. Brenda Thomas at Salem Health Clinic, quickly identified the diet as the likely cause. Once cucumbers were removed and he returned to a warm, balanced diet with cooked vegetables and soups, his condition began to improve within 5 days. If you have been diagnosed with arthritis, osteoarthritis, gout, or regularly experience joint pain, especially during colder months, you should avoid consuming large amounts of cucumbers, particularly raw and unheated. It is best not to make cucumbers the main ingredient in your salads, especially in the evening. Instead, choose warm vegetable dishes such as stewed zucchini, broccoli, or carrots. Also, try to avoid cooling foods during periods of high humidity or low physical activity. Listen to your body. If joint pain increases after eating a particular food, it is better to remove it temporarily and consult your doctor or dietitian about your diet. 5. They disrupt the balance of sodium and potassium when consumed in excess. Many people, especially those living in warmer climates, look for natural ways to cool and hydrate the body. During the summer, refreshing vegetable-based drinks, particularly cucumber water, become very popular. It seems logical. Cucumbers are made up of nearly 100% water, are rich in potassium, and contain no sugar. What could possibly go wrong? As it turns out, quite a lot. According to the National Institute of Sports Nutrition in the United States, electrolyte imbalances rank 3rd among the causes of sudden health decline in people who exercise during the summer. This is often related not only to fluid loss, but also to an imbalance between sodium and potassium. As appealing as they are, cucumbers contain a significant amount of potassium, about 150 milligrams per 100 grams, and almost no sodium at all. When someone starts drinking cucumber water or eating too many cucumbers without replenishing sodium levels, the body can experience what specialists call a hidden hyponatremic shift. This leads to a situation where cells lose their ability to maintain proper electrical charge and fluid volume. The result can include weakness, headaches, muscle cramps, and even brief episodes of fainting. In 2022, the University of Arizona in Tucson conducted a study on the effects of low-sodium drinks on the well-being of athletes. Among a group of volunteers who consumed only cucumber-infused water for 5 days of workouts, 42% showed signs of electrolyte imbalance, dizziness, sharp drops in blood pressure, and leg cramps. In some participants, blood plasma sodium levels fell to 130 millimoles per liter, while the normal range is above 135. This was confirmed in real life by the case of George Savage, a 38-year-old personal trainer from Tucson. Hoping to cleanse his body, he began drinking only cucumber water, without salt, sugar, or any other additives. He was training 3 clients a day and also working out himself. By the 4th day, he experienced headaches and fatigue. On the 5th day, he nearly blacked out after a squat session. Tests at the Banner University Medical Center's sports medicine department showed a sharp drop in sodium levels. After restoring his electrolyte balance and returning to a normal diet, George felt better and permanently removed mono-vegetable diets from his routine. If you eat cucumbers daily, especially during the summer or when engaging in physical activity, make sure to pair them with foods that contain sodium. This could include a small amount of sea salt, unsweetened cheese, or mineral water that naturally contains sodium. Do not make cucumber water your only drink of the day. It can be a supplement, but not a full replacement for all fluids. At the first signs of weakness, headache, or dizziness, review your diet. Your body may be signaling an imbalance between sodium and potassium. It is a good idea to get an electrolyte panel done if you are undergoing prolonged physical exertion or experimenting with your diet. 6. They lower stomach acid levels and interfere with normal digestion. Each year, more and more people experience gastrointestinal problems. Heartburn, heaviness, bloating, and digestive discomfort have become common, even among those who try to eat well. According to the Institute of Clinical Gastroenterology at Ohio State University, 28% of Americans over the age of 40 have low stomach acid, a condition known as hypochlorhydria. Many of them are unaware of it and continue to eat foods that make the situation worse. One of these foods is the common fresh cucumber. It is often considered a healing vegetable for heartburn and gastritis because it feels refreshing, does not cause a heavy sensation, and contains no acids. But that is exactly what can turn into a problem. Due to its high water content and certain phytochemical compounds, cucumber reduces the natural acidity of gastric juice and slows digestion, especially the digestion of proteins. A 2022 study conducted by the Department of Gastroenterology at the Medical Center of the University of Wisconsin showed that in patients with already reduced stomach acid secretion, adding large amounts of fresh cucumber to the diet, more than 300 grams per day for 1 week, led to a noticeable decrease in the activity of pepsin, the enzyme needed to break down proteins. This was accompanied by sensations of heaviness, stomach rumbling, gas, and in some cases pain after eating. That is exactly what happened to Logan, a 47-year-old barber from Seattle. He tried to heal his chronic gastritis on his own by replacing his dinners with light salads made of cucumber and parsley. He cut out meat, bread, and fats, hoping that fresh vegetables would give his stomach a break. For the first 3 days, he felt lighter, but by the 5th day, he began experiencing a dull pain in the upper stomach area, a sensation that food was just sitting there, and frequent belching. After an exam at Swedish Medical Center, he was diagnosed with hypochlorhydria, caused by a sharp drop in hydrochloric acid secretion. A gastroenterologist explained that this reaction is typical when the diet includes too many watery and cooling foods. Once Logan returned to eating warm meals and protein, his symptoms disappeared within a few days. If you have chronic gastritis, especially with low stomach acid, avoid eating fresh cucumbers frequently, especially on an empty stomach or as a main course. They should not replace balanced, protein-rich warm meals. If you enjoy cucumbers, it is better to include them as part of a balanced dish, not served cold. And always combine with foods that stimulate stomach acid production, such as ginger, warm soups, and animal-based protein. If you regularly feel heaviness, belching, or hear rumbling in your stomach after meals, make sure to test your stomach's acid level and enzyme activity, and discuss your diet with a gastroenterologist. 7. They contain traces of pesticides when grown non-organically. Each year, the organic food market in the United States continues to grow, and for good reason. According to a study conducted by the American Council for Food Integrity, more than 72% of consumers have started paying more attention to the origin of their fruits and vegetables, especially concerning pesticide and herbicide residues. At the center of this growing concern is the humble, crunchy vegetable, the cucumber. Most cucumbers sold in supermarkets are grown on industrial farms in enclosed greenhouses. To ensure high crop yields, producers use fungicides, insecticides, antifungal agents, and herbicides. While many other crops are less affected due to their thick skins, cucumbers have an extremely thin, porous surface that offers little protection against the absorption of chemicals. As a result, even thorough washing may not be enough to eliminate potentially harmful substances. In 2023, the Environmental Health Research Alliance released laboratory analysis data from vegetables purchased at major retail chains. In 58% of cucumber samples grown non-organically, residues of at least one synthetic chemical compound were detected. In 22% of cases, 2 or more were found, including diazinon, imazalil, and propiconazole, substances that have been linked to hormonal imbalances and gastrointestinal irritation. What was particularly alarming was the false sense of security many consumers had, thinking, it's just a cucumber. The story of 29-year-old Tyler from Austin, Texas is a clear example of this issue. He led a healthy lifestyle and made salads nearly every day. He bought his vegetables at a nearby supermarket without paying attention to organic labels. After a few months, he began experiencing skin rashes, unusual dryness in his mouth, and frequent diarrhea. After being examined by a gastroenterologist at Texas Digestive Disease Consultants and undergoing tests for food intolerance, it was found that his body had been accumulating traces of organophosphate compounds, the very pesticides used in industrial agriculture. When Tyler switched entirely to organic cucumbers, his symptoms began to subside within 2 weeks. If you regularly eat cucumbers, especially raw, always choose those labeled USDA organic or certified organic. If that is not an option, soak cucumbers in a solution of baking soda, 1 tablespoon per 1 liter of water, for 15 to 20 minutes, then rinse thoroughly. It is also best to peel cucumbers if you are unsure of their origin. Buy vegetables from local farmers whose growing practices you can verify, and avoid making non-organic cucumbers a daily dietary staple. 8. They acidify the body when consumed in excess, contrary to popular belief. In recent years, the topic of body acidification has become especially popular. Countless bloggers, nutritionists, and green smoothie brands promote so-called alkaline foods, those believed to restore internal balance and neutralize harmful acids. Cucumbers consistently top these lists, but the reality is far more complex than trendy advice on social media. A 2022 study conducted by the Clinical Nutrition Laboratory at the University of Georgia revealed something surprising, even paradoxical. People who consumed more than 400 grams of fresh cucumbers daily for 10 to 14 days experienced a shift in their urine's acid-base balance toward increased acidity. This effect was particularly noticeable in individuals with low physical activity, reduced kidney function, or a protein-deficient diet. What is the reason? The fact is that cucumbers are almost entirely free of protein and sodium, but have a high water content and contain organic acids. In moderate amounts, these acids can help flush out excess fluid. But when cucumbers become the main component of a person's diet, especially among those who avoid meat, fish, eggs, and salt, the body begins to accumulate weak acids that are not adequately balanced by the body's buffering systems. This disrupts the acid-base balance and may lead to weakness, irritability, reduced mental clarity, and muscle fatigue. This is exactly what happened to Allison, a 42-year-old nutrition consultant from Savannah, Georgia. In an effort to lose weight before a vacation, she decided to do a green detox week with cucumbers, spinach, celery juice, and almond milk. By the 3rd day, she noticed difficulty concentrating, irritability, and trembling in her legs. By the 5th day, she developed headaches and went to the Georgia Medical Nutrition Center. Lab tests showed her urine pH had dropped to 5.1, while the normal range is 6.0 to 7.5. Along with deficiencies in magnesium and sodium. Her doctor explained that, despite its reputation as an alkaline food, excessive consumption of cucumbers within a limited diet can lead to internal acidification of tissues. Cucumbers can definitely be part of a healthy diet, but only as an addition, not as the foundation. You should not eat them in large amounts every day, especially if you have cut out protein sources and natural sodium. Maintain your acid-base balance by eating a diverse diet that includes fish, eggs, green vegetables, a small amount of salt, and adequate protein. If you follow green days, limit them to once or twice a week and always monitor how you feel. If you experience frequent fatigue, brain fog, or muscle pain, get a urine test for pH and electrolytes. 9. They trigger cramps in people with irritable bowel syndrome. Over the past 10 years, the number of people diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, has nearly doubled. According to the American Gastroenterological Association, approximately 12% of the adult population in the United States lives with this diagnosis, dealing with regular pain, bloating, irregular bowel movements, and a sensation of incomplete evacuation. While the condition is not always visible from the outside, it can significantly lower a person's quality of life. And surprisingly, one of the most common dietary triggers for people with IBS is the ordinary fresh cucumber. At first glance, the cucumber seems like a symbol of lightness and health. It is often meant for weight loss, body detox, and reducing swelling. But for a sensitive digestive system, it can be a real challenge. The problem lies in 2 specific features of cucumbers. First, their skin is quite dense and tough, containing insoluble fiber. And second, their seeds, although small, often irritate the intestinal lining in people with heightened sensitivity. A 2021 study conducted through the Digestive Health Clinical Studies program at the University of North Carolina found that patients with IBS who consumed just 100 to 150 grams of fresh cucumber with the skin experienced spasmodic pain in the lower abdomen within 30 to 60 minutes after eating. The symptoms included sharp cramps, gas, and an increased urge to use the restroom. Meanwhile, the control group that consumed peeled cucumbers without seeds and skin did not experience these reactions. This was exactly what happened to Sharon, a 35-year-old woman from Sarasota, Florida. She had long struggled with IBS, but thanks to a low FODMAP diet, low in fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols, she had achieved long-term remission. During a particularly hot summer, she started adding cucumbers to her meals, thinking they were safe. Everything was fine at first, but by the second week, she began experiencing familiar cramps, stomach rumbling, and loose stools. After consulting with her dietitian, Belinda Pierce, a gastrointestinal disorder specialist in Florida, Sharon received a clear answer. For people with IBS, fresh cucumbers with skin and seeds are a direct path to relapse. If you have already been diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, cucumbers should either be completely excluded from your diet or prepared very carefully. Do not eat them raw, especially with the skin. If you enjoy the taste of cucumber, try peeled and roasted slices. In this form, they are less aggressive for the digestive system. It is also important to monitor your individual response. Keep a food journal and note which foods trigger symptoms. And most importantly, do not fall for the myth that if it's a vegetable, it must be good for everyone. For a sensitive digestive system, not all vegetables are equally harmless. 10. They trigger excessive gas and bloating. For many people, a plate of fresh vegetable salad is the symbol of healthy eating, especially in the summer when the goal is to enjoy light, crunchy, and refreshing meals. Cucumbers often seem like the perfect choice, but for millions of Americans, this healthy decision often ends the same way. Bloating, stomach gurgling, a distended belly, and awkwardness, especially in public. And this is no exaggeration. According to an observational study conducted in 2022 by the Gastroenterology Center at Yale University, about 18% of patients who reported chronic bloating and gas said their symptoms worsened after eating fresh cucumbers. Researchers linked this effect to the high content of insoluble fiber and specific compounds in cucumbers known as fermentable carbohydrates. These are broken down by gut microbiota in the large intestine, producing gas in the process. In addition, cucumber skins and tiny seeds often remain partially undigested, especially in individuals with slower digestion, enzyme deficiencies, or those over the age of 40. This creates an environment for increased fermentation, leading to the buildup of hydrogen and methane in the intestines, which causes bloating, pressure, and even pain. A real-life example is the story of 41-year-old Shelley from Denver, an office manager who generally leads an active lifestyle. Trying to eat clean, she brought a lunchbox to work every day with a salad made of cucumber, spinach, and avocado. At first, everything seemed fine, but over time she began to notice that by evening her stomach would feel completely bloated. She experienced gas, heaviness, and felt uncomfortable talking with colleagues or participating in meetings. After visiting the Colorado Digestive Health Institute, she underwent testing. While no serious conditions were found, her gastroenterologist suspected a link between her bloating and the salad-based diet. Once she removed cucumbers from her meals, her symptoms disappeared within 3 days. When she tried them again later, the same issues returned. If you feel bloated, gassy, or heavy after eating cucumbers, that is a clear signal from your digestive system. First, try peeling the cucumbers and removing the seeds. This can significantly reduce the amount of insoluble fiber. Second, avoid eating cucumbers in the evening and do not combine them with other gas-producing foods such as cabbage, beans, onions, or whole grain bread. You should also avoid drinking cold water with cucumber-based meals, as it slows digestion and enhances fermentation. If you notice that even small amounts of cucumber cause discomfort, eliminate them from your diet entirely for 10 to 14 days and see if your symptoms improve. If needed, consult a gastroenterologist to check for enzyme deficiencies or gut flora imbalances. Sometimes, even the healthiest food can end up being the source of ongoing internal discomfort. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.